Hey everybody, welcome to News Dump. And although a bunch of shakeups have been happening over at Activision regarding their Call of Duty franchise, those developer studio changes have only affected the 2020 release of the game, and this year still belongs to Infinity Ward, who just today dropped the trailer for their next game in the series, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And no, it's apparently not a remake.
Oh.
They're describing it as an epic reimagining of the iconic Modern Warfare series from the ground up. And for the first time in a long time, they're utilizing a new game engine for this one, which is, definitely going to be exciting for fans of the series. Now, before we get into why this might be one of their most controversial titles to date, let's get into some of the other announcements that they made today alongside the release of this trailer.
Yeah, so this game will actually feature a single-player campaign mode.
Whoa!
They're back!
Yeah.
They had to take it away.
To let people know how much they want.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually did that.
Yeah, they were just like, let's gauge the interest on this because they had so many plans with Black Ops 4 to have the Battle Royale mode and everything. So, yeah, it makes sense.
So that's nice. I always enjoyed the COD single-player campaigns. It's also got co-op gameplay, and as you could safely assume, it's got an action-packed multiplayer playground, esports ready, baby.
Yeah.
If esports is still around by the time this comes out. Yeah. There will be no season pass this time, and they say they'll be delivering more free maps and content as well as post-launch events to all players.
That was another thing they gauged from
cool.
interest.
Yeah, from interest, yeah. Black Ops 4's fucking...
A very confusing season pass and microtransaction
I mean, still nowhere near Battlefield V, but yeah. Streamline that shit.
Yeah.
This game's going to be, it'll of course come to the PS4 or the Xbox One. It'll also follow the lead from Black Ops 4, though, with a fully optimized PC version as well.
They heard us loud and clear.
We heard you loud and clear, gamers. And the team say that they're planning for Modern Warfare to be completely available for cross-platform play, which is one of the best modern trends in gaming. It's nice to have. And we desperately hope it continues to evolve so that more and more studios fight to make their games available this way as well.
Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be great to play with your friends that don't have a PC or whatever console or PC that you don't have.
Yeah.
But also, it's just, people are just going to get stomped on when they're playing against PC players.
Yeah,
but
that's generally how it works.
It'll probably be like an invite thing where you're not going to get thrown into the mix of PC players unless you want to be.
Yeah.
Anyways, the trailer. The trailer, it's pretty intense, and it uses in-game footage, which, I mean, it's almost entirely cinematics from the game. I would say that it's 100% cinematics, but I don't want to be wrong. It looks so real that it feels like you're actually watching footage sometimes of real military missions.
Especially when it goes into like night vision and stuff.
Now, apparently this transfers over very well to the actual gameplay footage that many outlets and invited guests were shown at a recent event. And to say that this game will be controversial, it's probably an understatement. But according to the developers themselves, they're well aware of this, and they made the choices on purpose with regards to realism, tone, and the severity of the situations that are dealt with in the game. Everybody remembers the No Russian mission in Modern Warfare 2, where you enter an airport and start mowing down civilians in an attempt to prove that you're not a CIA agent or something. Well, according to people and outlets who have seen footage from the new game, there are scenes that are either that intense or worse, including gameplay that someone in attendance described as what amounts to playing live leak helmet cam footage. So alongside that new engine and the progression in gaming visuals comes a lot more realism, and there's a balance between that.
Yeah, and so earlier this year, Mortal Kombat 11 comes out. It's, the most realistic,
crazy, violent.
That you can still kind of separate in your minds as like, this is fantastical. This is ridiculous.
Takes place in an alternate universe with nothing that makes sense.
Yeah, it's gross, but this is like, we're fighting wars. There are wars happening right now, and games are starting to look a whole lot like what's actually going on.
Yeah.
It's weird. But yeah, there's descriptions of 2 specific missions that they showed off during the private event. The Verge describes them as follows, quote, "In the first, after a terrorist attack at Piccadilly Circus, a group of soldiers tracked down the attackers to a small cramped townhouse in central London. What followed was a methodical killing of everyone in the building. Well-armed soldiers moved through every room and floor, shooting normal-looking folks in bedrooms and kitchens. At the end of the scene, the soldiers are searching for evidence on an upper floor, and you can hear a baby inside of the house screaming in the background."
So they continue, the second scenario was a flashback showing the early life of one of the rebel characters. Set 20 years ago, it takes place in a seemingly small Middle Eastern village in the midst of a military attack, while the character controls a young girl following her older brother in search of safety. You mostly hide, sneaking past soldiers through small hidden spaces, but you can't help but see and hear the carnage around you. At one point, the siblings work together to kill a determined soldier, and it's an absolutely brutal experience, as they use makeshift weapons, including a screwdriver, to take down their attacker. Listen, a lot of reaction from even longtime players of the franchise who were invited to the event say that some scenes go further. So yeah, pretty controversial stuff, not to be taken lightly from a Call of Duty title, and that's what Call of Duty is. But they're really going for it here.
I mean, yeah, it's a war game.
Yes.
They're doing war, and
war is hell.
And war is hell. Yeah, it's a matter of well, I mean, at least with most of their titles, the events are either taking place in the past, the audiences that are disconnected from it, and they've already taken place.
World War II happened. You can't change that.
Then there's like the futuristic versions. Those are easy to write off too because it's the future. It's all made up and fake. People are running up walls.
Yeah.
The Modern Warfare series has always had a bit of controversy surrounding it because despite small changes, it represents recent military engagements, things that people have just lived through or are currently living through. It's kind of a harder pill to swallow when you think about hopping in and having fun with your friends, but it looks like the devs are at the very least not taking any of this lightly, and they're hoping that it strikes a chord with players in the right ways. Will it?
For some, yes, I believe so.
It's like the problem with trying to give the warts and all look at war and be like, this is actually not cool, is people like when people try that in movies, like Full Metal Jacket. Probably one of the most anti-war films ever made. Just depicts the whole process as horrific and subhuman. But there's tons of people out there who pop on Full Metal Jacket and they're like, hell yeah!
Yeah.
Kill the sniper.
Yeah. And I'll agree that like some people will also say, and they're true, that, oh, you're just getting too old and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, I remember playing Modern Warfare 2 and having no problem because I didn't even think about really what I was doing. I was pretty young. And now when I look at it, I'm like, it I don't know, it just kind of is.
There was one scene, I think it was Black Ops or Black Ops, I think it was Black Ops 2. It's like a flashback to Vietnam and you're on like a gunboat and you kill like 1,000 fucking Viet Cong and you're like, oh God, this feels gross.
But then on the other hand, movies like Rambo exist. There was a new trailer for another Rambo today. But it's just a real weird balancing act because although I agree that, the violence isn't caused by video games. It's also a really heavy subject, specifically with this one, that should be handled very well.
In terms of like games as an escape from
reality,
the horrors of the world. This one doesn't sound like it's going to be very useful for that.
Hey, but I bet the multiplayer is going to be fun, and that you can turn off for the multiplayer because you're making your own story.
Yeah, that's the funniest. Like based on previous CODs, it's like
no one's even
barely anyone's playing the campaign.
But anyways, it looks like the devs, they are treating this seriously. Taylor Kurosaki, the studio narrative head, recently spoke with Variety about the choices they made when developing the story of the game, and here's what he had to say. When we set out to make this project, we made it very simple for ourselves. What do the words modern warfare represent? What defines modern warfare for us, or what do we believe defines it in the world we live in 2019? You're inherently taking on these sensitive topics today more than any other time. The battle lines are not really clearly defined. The war zone is not over there, somewhere in some remote corner of the world. It's all around us. A busy city center can become a combat zone in the blink of an eye. For a Tier 1 operator, navigating that world is part and parcel with what we believe modern warfare to be. If we only talked about Western soldiers fighting in far-flung lands or on domestic counterterrorism in their homes, that would only tell you half the story. There's a whole group of people where the battle zones are their home and their cities. This is certainly it's a bold step to take. They seem like they're addressing it the best way they should as developers of the game.
Yeah. They're not sugarcoating any of this.
It's one that hardcore fans, they're undoubtedly going to appreciate, but maybe, like we said, some of them for the wrong reasons. And, these devs, they probably hope that people won't miss the actual point in favor of just enjoying it because the devs totally went there. And they don't care what people think. They're going to make it as gruesome as possible.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing that for a reason.
A very good game that tackled this very well a few years ago was Spec Ops: The Line, which is sort of a meta commentary on these sorts of war games, and they did a pretty good job with it. And
it was a gruesome game
but
too.
Even then, there's like between the story portions, it was just like a typical kind of mindless shooter.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to balance the like thematic elements with just the going around shooting stuff element when it's a video game.
Yeah.
But again, it's obviously important to point out it is just a game. And we all hope that people would actually experience this story with a certain amount of gravity weighing on them. It's what the developers, they want. They want you to feel something.
Yes.
But it's also hard not to say that there's a ton of people out there who are simply going to call this badass or something like that. And just, play through it to get achievements and then pop over to multiplayer to battle it out in recreations of real modern locations with characters that are modeled after real modern people that look realistic to a scale that has never been seen in this franchise before.
Yeah.
That's another part about it. It's like if you're truly trying to say something about war, you kind of sabotage that by having a multiplayer mode in which like it's actually completely mindless.
Yeah.
And it's all for fun. And it's just like, hey, we're running around shooting each other.
With esports leagues built around this very thing.
The gravity of what you're trying to say it doesn't shine through when you bring in competitive multiplayer.
It's really weird for us to talk about too because I love video games and I've played all of the Call of Duties and I love the Call of Duty series and I probably really enjoyed this game.
Yeah, I think the game, like, I want to be clear, this looks good and I'm probably going to play it. I'm pretty excited about it, but
it's just kind of weighing that for the first time really with a video game. And this has happened over and over again over the years. Grand Theft Auto is a good example, but it's just, this is the most realistic kind of thing that we've seen so far. And obviously we haven't seen everything that's going to be in this game or exactly how it's going to be portrayed because it's all brand new right now. So who knows? Regardless, there's going to be a million articles and videos on this game as more information comes out.
Think peace.
So we'll just leave it at that and move on to some other entertainment news. And you can just tell us how old age has changed us in the comments because I'll admit, yes, it has.
I mean,
it makes me think more critically about the things that I enjoy or consume.
Yeah, I think that's fair too.
Yep. Anyways, let's move on to some movie news because Disney, they're apparently done with the Avengers. They're also potentially following along with Netflix and a few other companies who say they are done with Georgia. But they're also not done turning everyone's favorite animated classics into modern live-action remakes. First off, grain of salt and all, some sites are reporting that it seems like, this news seems like it's probably true based on how obvious this would be, but word on the street is that Disney is finished with the Avengers. It makes sense. The last movie was basically one big finale that worked off of the first 10 years of Marvel Studio films, and it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to expect another movie that even gets close to an Avengers moniker in at least the near future.
Yeah, so the main source of this comes from the site, We Got This Covered.
Don't worry, guys.
Which states that according to their sources, the team, quote, won't be assembling again in the franchise going forward, and that, quote, this will be established in Spider-Man: Far From Home, which will mention that the heroes are now, quote, in their own corners of the universe. Again, that doesn't mean we're not going to see the characters that make up the Avengers, considering we've definitely got stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Black Panther 2, and Black Widow, which will be released over the coming years. It just means they won't be teaming up in that big, beautiful way that we've seen them, which, you could probably file that under pretty obvious. The last two Avengers movies, they, like, aside from the films itself, the impressive thing is just like, wow, you got all of these actors, all these
same
characters.
room.
It was a pretty monumental task.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, like, I don't know why I feel not bad about spoiling Endgame at this point, but I'm sure there'll be cameos in some of the films, regardless if they're the true original Avengers.
Yeah.
Anyways, one thing we can definitely count on, after the surprise success of Disney's Aladdin last weekend, did $90 million domestically.
Domestically?
Yeah.
I understand if it was like India, but like, who was, whatever.
Anyways, they're making even more live action remakes of their classic films. Although it was Memorial Day weekend.
Oh,
and it had,
and I think it was pretty much unopposed.
Yeah.
At the box
You send the
office.
kids to Aladdin, you go see John Wick 3 for the 4th time.
Starting to get pretty
happy.
warm in a lot of parts of the country.
Go there for the AC.
Need that AC, need that big old 68-ounce Coca-Cola.
Delicious. So anyways, yes, there's plenty of people out there who saw Aladdin and said, it wasn't as bad as the trailers made it out to be. And hey, that's fine. But it also doesn't mean that these remakes are anything more than an easy cash grab for Disney. They already made the movies once. Not that hard.
Yeah.
Even Dumbo did okay, and while it still might be considered a flop to a lot of people out there, it still wasn't as disastrous as some movies released this year, Hellboy. And it probably only did as well as it did because Danny DeVito was involved, and as everyone knows, Danny DeVito needs to be in every movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Next on Disney's hit list is Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. Although it looks like they've already apparently shortened that title to just Snow White.
Snow White and the Seven Little People.
So, yeah. Yeah, can you...
Yeah.
I mean, dwarf is like a medical term.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you can still call them dwarves.
Yeah, we'll see if they do it though.
Yeah.
And who they cast.
Anyway, this is all in spite of the fact that there have already been numerous live-action adaptations of the Brothers Grimm fairy tale, Snow White. But this one will obviously feature plenty of those old favorite songs for kids to sing along to as they watch a group of humble orphan workers protect the rich after toiling away in the mines all day.
Whistle while you work, baby. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, the remake will be directed by Mark Webb, who's done plenty of good work, but is also responsible for the series of Amazing Spider-Man films, which were halted after just 2. And saw the character loaned over to Disney. Sorry, Andrew Garfield, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti.
Hey, it's me, Rhino. Who's ready for me in the next movie? You guys excited?
Yeah, he'll be fine. So he did his best. There's no release date yet for this, but it will certainly be exciting to watch as Disney struggles with the decision of whether or not to hire actual little people as actors or just CGI the shit out of big Hollywood names. Get Gary Oldman on there. Little movie called Tiptoes. He's already proven, his worth as a fake little person actor. I feel like Peter Dinklage is going to be like, don't
Absolutely not.
Don't even fucking call me on my phone about this. I know you're thinking about it.
Get a call from Disney, you hang up.
Yeah.
You hang up. Unless I'm going to be in a Marvel franchise, you hang the fuck up.
Yeah.
Anyways, I know they're not going to go with a modern adaptation, and they're just going to recreate the film exactly as it was, which is pretty much what they've done so far with all the other ones. But it'd be great to see a film where an up-and-coming Instagram model named Snow White starts getting more likes than a Kardashian or something. So the Kardashians, they send out their huntsman to kill Snow White while she hides out with a bunch of coal miners in rural Kentucky who show that there's more to life than vanity. You can also sing songs and dance all while you wait for the black lung to show up.
Instead of sneezy, it's coffee. That's just coffee. He coughs because he's got a terminal lung sickness. And then eventually Kylie Jenner shows up, poisons Snow White, and then tells the coal miners to learn to code. This movie sounds great.
Yeah, but
Make that one.
Call me, Disney. Hey, at least Disney seems to be, they're signing on to his good news. They're signing on to that pledge that Netflix was the first to make about moving their productions out of Georgia because of that state's new abortion laws that ban abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy, which technically is 2 weeks after a woman misses her period.
Yeah.
It's bad.
In addition to Disney and Netflix, looks like AMC Networks, NBC Universal, Sony, and Warner Media have all, in some way, acknowledged displeasure in the state's new law and have stated that they would reconsider their future productions taking place there. For the unaware, Georgia has become a film and TV production powerhouse over the years. Tax cuts, baby. They've been creating tons of local jobs and bringing billions of dollars into the local economies. So this decision, you would assume, would not be taken lightly there. It's just a terrible situation all around. We should reiterate here that we do not support any of these new ultra-restrictive abortion laws, but it also sucks that you have to have these giant companies threaten to pull money out of the local economy to convince people that what they're doing is morally wrong in the first place. Yeah. And when they do that, it's like, Georgia is such a weird state. It's like Atlanta is basically a state within a state.
Yeah.
And the people who are going to be most hurt by this are
the people who didn't vote for this in the first place.
Yeah, the people least likely to support the laws in the first place. But
yeah, I don't want to get too like straw manny or whatever, but there's plenty of things out there that said that if you take this away, people will follow those jobs, and Georgia will end up being more regressive because.
There's you get into the whole fucking game theory aspect of politics.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's just, if something's wrong and you don't want to support it with your money, that's a pretty simple, straightforward way of looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
anything else that happens as a result, it's just then
change what you're doing
the fucking
here.
law.
Yeah. It just sucks. It has to be like a big corporation that comes in and has to do it to change things. It's hey, money's king, I guess.
Vote with your dollar.
Yeah. Anyways, Whiplash. Hey,
whoa!
Let's go back to gaming because E3 is right around the corner. So a bunch of companies have been amping up the hype in the lead up to the big industry event, which is now open to the public, making it even harder to go to and not sweat and smell people. There's been a few announcements for things like the Xbox Games Pass for PC, which is basically going to be the same service that Xbox console users have, but PC players are going to be able to have it too. And so far, they've announced a curated library of over 100 games that'll be available, and they'll be giving Game Pass members discounts on certain Microsoft Store purchases. Obviously, they're not going to retroactively make a game playable on PC if it wasn't before, but it seems like they're bundling things up for people so they can have access to a bunch of games.
So it's basically
too many games.
Netflix for games?
Oh, maybe. Speaking of Netflix for games.
Google has teased that further information about their Stadia project will be I completely forgot about this.
I know.
It's going to be announced, including price reveal, game announcements, and launch info.
So that should happen around the same time?
I fucking completely forgot about that. That's crazy. When did they announce that?
That was 2 months ago.
Jesus.
Not even that long ago.
Cyberpunk 2077 might not be coming anytime soon because CD Projekt Red announced that the game wouldn't even be playable at E3 this year. They will have more gameplay footage revealed, so that's cool. And there's most likely not going to be any big PlayStation 5 reveal this year because Sony won't even be at E3.
Fuck you guys. They're voting with their dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did announce a remake of the 2009 Ghostbusters game, though, which is cool. That's one of those games I never got around to playing, and now it looks kind of old, so it's nice that I'll be able to play a modern-looking version of it.
Never had a PlayStation 3, so I didn't play a lot of the good games that were on it, and I'm actually interested in playing this one because a lot of people say that it is a great continuation of the original series. So.
Yeah, it was the original people involved in writing and voicing it. They were all there. It was very much done as basically we're never gonna make another one of these movies. Let's finish the story here in this video game, and then fucking 2 years later, hey guys.
Oh, there was another story this week about how Chris Hemsworth, when he went into the set for Ghostbusters, apparently Paul Feig just hadn't worked on his lines or part of his script at all, and he just kind of had to wing it and was really nervous about it because he wasn't a comedic actor.
Yeah.
So that was weird. But he did it, and he actually said that he enjoyed it because it made Thor Ragnarok better because it was good practice.
That makes sense.
So there you go. If you enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, you have the all-female Ghostbusters to thank for.
Yeah.
We can all sleep a little bit better tonight.
Thank you, Lady Ghostbusters.
But anyways, outside of all of that E3 stuff, we got another big trailer reveal this week for a game that will hopefully have a lot more information available when the convention opens its doors. Death Stranding from Hideo Kojima. With the release of this nearly 9-minute trailer, which features a mixture of cutscenes and actual gameplay, people assumed that they would finally have everything that they needed to know about this mysterious game with an all-star cast that's been confusing everyone since E3 of 2016.
Wait, really?
Yeah, that was where they first announced it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Games take a long time.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Every time a new game is announced, I'm like, you need to sit on your hands because this isn't happening for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, we have a release date, November 8th, 2019. The game does look like it's going to be an open-world adventure game, and the trailer does show off actual gameplay, including some nifty tools that you can use while exploring, and a futuristic motorcycle that can do wheelies. Confirmed.
Whee!
Yeah.
Looks like a fun game.
It's going to be a blast.
A real...
Yeah, this is the fantasy dystopian that, it's I want to have a nice break from reality and have fun in a game, and it's this one's a fantasy version of that, but also probably going to be very sad as well.
Yeah, it doesn't look all that, does not look all that
Except
fun.
people hitting each other with briefcases, always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a statement about the game, Hideo Kojima-san said the following. People have created walls and become accustomed to living in isolation. Death Stranding is a completely new type of action game, where the goal of the player is to reconnect isolated cities in a fragmented society. It is created so that all elements, including the story and gameplay, are bound together by the theme of the strand, or connection. As Sam Porter bridges, you will attempt to bridge... Jesus Christ, that's so on the nose. You will attempt to bridge the divides in society, and in doing so, create new bonds or strands with other players around the globe. Through your experience playing the game, I hope you'll come to understand the true importance of forging connections with others. So, I noticed something regarding what the game itself could be about, thanks to Twitter's little trending tab.
Which is never wrong.
Never wrong. It's basically the arbiter of truth. Over there, they indicated that Death Stranding is an adaptation of the novel The Goldfinch.
Big if true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Turns out, though, that the Twitter algorithm is really bad because it just confused a trailer for a video game with a trailer for a movie. Trailer. The movie is an adaptation of that novel. They have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
But I saw that and I was like, for like 10 seconds or so, I was like,
wow.
and I Googled it. I was like, maybe it is a novel adaptation. Like that would be wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, it looks like a visual novel.
Seems like something Kojima would do. But I looked at it, I was like, no, I think Twitter just fucked up.
Yeah, I feel like this game is going to be incredible and people are going to love it. But I think that the amount of people that are going to love it is going to be like 1% of the gaming population of a whole.
Yeah,
it's going to be a very specific game for a very specific type of person. And you know what? If you love it, you love it.
Yeah, it looks like something new.
You're playing Metal Gear right now.
Yeah. I don't want to stand here and review a game that came out like 5 fucking years ago, but knowing what the fallout of this game and like what happened with Kojima and Konami.
Harder to play?
No, it's just so many things about the fucking game make sense. I'm like, there are parts of this that are brilliant, and then there are parts of this that are clearly just like a scientifically designed grind.
Yeah.
That like Konami was like, no, you gotta just look what the mobile game does. Do that in here.
Yeah.
It's weird, but the gameplay's fun.
Yeah. Well, here's our almost weekly update on the college admission scandal. Nothing too big this week. Just a photo of William H. Macy buying graduation balloons for his daughter. The daughter that, well, apparently just Felicity Huffman, his wife, got into college through bribes because he seems to be scot-free in this whole situation.
Those balloons cost $10,000.
Yeah.
Watch our recent episodes and also check out our Patreon exclusive weekly podcast by unlocking the $5 tier on our Patreon page. The most recent one we chatted about my trip to New Zealand, Ricky's wedding, other fun stuff in there.
We're going to try to make it weekly as best we can.
Just shooting the shit.
Yeah. We're building out the podcast set and hopefully we'll get to use it more. Although if you can see right now on our faces, it's very fucking hot in our studio. So we got to figure out a situation, buy an AC unit.
I need some of that makeup for men.
Yeah, it's real hot in here. Anyways, we'll see you really soon for a brand new episode of Weekly Weird News. Have a great day. See you next time.
Bye-bye.